no pun intended, episode 30. Thank you all for joining us. I am joined, as always, by National Master Matt Jensen. How's it going today?
Good, Jesse. How are you doing? How was your vacation?
I had a great vacation. We are filming a little late because I was out of town for the last week or so, but the show must go on, as we say. We always record. Our podcast is 30, so I think it's time to start taking its career kind of seriously. It can't just, I mean, working at the car wash is not really a career plan. It's got to kind of settle down, don't you think? It's got to maybe meet a nice girl. Um, I don't know, the biological clock is ticking if you want to have kids one day, like the one you're dating now isn't really it. What do you think?
Yeah, and you kind of, you're past your prime in a lot of sports at 28. I think podcast prime, though, you could probably push it out to your mid 30s. But yeah, I think this podcast needs to start looking for some queen podcasts.
Yeah, this is I agree. It's kind of you're 30, you're still in our healthcare. I mean, you kind of got to get your own find a job with benefits maybe. I don't know. It's just kind of I mean, we just had to have a sit down because 30 is getting kind of serious. You can't just scrape by anymore. Okay, enough of the riffing. How's it going?
Good. And one correction, I was going to do the podcast solo this week. And then on Wednesday, Jesse's like, hey, you thinking of doing the podcast tonight? I said, when are you coming back? He goes, Thursday. I was like, all right, you want to do it Friday with me? So it's my fault it got delayed a couple days.
Yeah, no problem at all. Okay, let's talk about Saturday. So Saturday, I played in and streamed. Actually, you can find it on our YouTube channel. The what is it even called? The Sleep Deprived Parent Bullet Championship. I did not win the championship, but it was a very fun event. I think there was maybe 12 of us in there. There was one player lower rated than me. He was there for a little bit, and then it was me, and then everyone else was 400 plus points higher than me. I played several people 1,000 points higher, several players, 600 points higher. I played 19 games and I scored one and a half. And at the end of it, I actually gained rating. I think I gained 4 points. Is that right?
Yeah, you went from 1449 to 1453, and you were 11th place out of 12.
Nice. We will take it. That's pretty cool. Let's highlight actually a few of my games, a few of my best games from the event. The camera is ready. So this is me against a national master. I'm 1400 bullet and 1440 I should say. And I think that's about right. And my opponent is 2291 bullet, so outrating by about 800 points. Okay, so let's go through this game. I'm going to mute the audio. Sorry everybody. And we're going to go quick. We're not really going to analyze because this is bullet. I'm just playing normal ChessGoals openings. He fianchettoed his bishop. I am just doing the big pawn center opening, not thinking too much about it. Get the rooks in the middle. Yeah, threatening to take this pawn and just lining up my bishops. And the computer likes my position. I'm point half a pawn right here. And push. Computer does not like that decision because they can take my knight, which they did. You're going to see some of the world's ugliest pawns here in a minute, but that's okay. So I have double isolated C pawns and F pawns. And he's trading. I try to at least repair my pawns. So I'm much worse here, but this is actually not terrible. And I miss my chance coming up right here. Check. He moves to the wrong square. He moves straight back. I have to like E5 check. And I wasn't even thinking about taking the knight, and I just moved my bishop away and did not win this game. So I ended up losing. But that was a good chance against a solid almost 2300 bullet player. And that was like 40 moves where I kind of hung together. So I was happy with that game.
And he was low on time too. I'm curious, the eval bar now is showing 0 when you show it. Is that just because it's low depth?
It has depth of 21, so maybe this isn't even a win. But here, uh,
Because
yeah, these pawns are pretty quick.
when we looked at it before, though, it looked winning.
It looked winning. Well, sadly, it was not winning. It was only
Oh,
drawing, but I will take
okay.
drawing. Okay, so that's that game. Let's look at another game here from the top. Okay, so this is actually my draw. We'll save this for the end.
Yeah, and that game
This
was
is
850 point rating difference, like you said, against an NM, and you had him low on the clock too. He was down to 11 seconds at the end.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a game against our friend Ben Johnson. So he is a GM in podcast hosting. He's an NM in chess, and he's a very good bullet player. So he outrates me by about 500 points. I'm going Caro. He goes hillbilly attack. And I really don't know this theory at all. I don't really look at it all that often. Don't tell my OTB opponents. So I'm just kind of playing normal.
Don't tell
And
some dumb trucker either.
yes, I should probably play the video we made against him. So move 12, we're out of the opening, and we're even, maybe a slight pull for black. He should have taken my bishop here and really messed up my pawn structure. But he did not do that, so we're kind of back to even again. And here I'm going for some cheap tricks, trying to win just trying to take the rook, pinned rook. But it doesn't happen. We're still at a pretty even position. He trades rooks. So let me just go through these next few moves. We get to this position where he's a little better, but I think I'm going to end up winning this pawn. And I was able to take this pawn because my knight is actually defending g7, which I didn't see at first. So here we're in an even position, and I sadly ran out of time, but this is pretty much a draw. I'd like to think I could hold it, but I unfortunately ran out of time, and so dropped the point. But very solid game. One mistake, no blunders, 0 misses. I guess I didn't review it too closely, but solid game against National Master Ben Johnson.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
There were multiple games where you were low on time, and it felt like you weren't able to keep your clock up with the increment. Do you think that was just because you're not used to playing that quickly? Because you do play a lot of 3-0. And I thought you would maybe be able to survive some of those positions, but then there was one of them. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories, but there was one where your clock seemed to jump down, and then all of a sudden it was like, boom, flag. And you didn't have a chance.
Yeah, it did seem to like drop, but I wasn't really paying that close of attention. I'm also not playing super fast. So I don't know. I don't really look too much into it. I should have just played faster. I've never really played 1+1. So it's a weird time control for sure. I think it's probably like the hardest time control to actually beat someone higher rated than you. I think I probably could have picked up more points in 1-0, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Because 1-1, you think you have time to get back into it, but 1 or 2 tough moves and all of a sudden you flag.
Yeah. All right, let's do another game. This is actually the very first game of the tournament, so we are not going in chronological order here. But I get a wonderful position out of the opening, and so this is
shuffle.
What's that?
We're looking through the games on shuffle mode.
On shuffle mode, yeah, exactly. No rhyme or reason. Okay, so this is all normal chess goal stuff. And he plays a move we actually don't cover in the course. We probably should, except there's no really any reason to because it's just the same move anyway. So queen g4, that's what we recommend in the course. So over defending this pawn, putting pressure on g7 as well. He checks, play the best move, and my advantage is swelling here, almost 2.5. Take the pawn, take that pawn, and I even play the right move there, knight e4. I'm getting this check in, and unfortunately, I didn't really see anything here. But yeah, bishop d3 is a good move. Just kick this knight out. Best move there is rook takes b2. Oh, other rook takes b2 and just giving me the rook. Okay, so I should have done that. Whoops, I scrolled way ahead. Let's try that again. So I check. But I couldn't really find anything else, so this kind of petered out into a drawn position, and from here I just lost. Just straight up lost. But solid game overall. This guy is rated about 400 points higher than me, but took the loss there. Let's get to... Okay, this is spoiler for future events. Let's get to my draw. Okay, this is, I don't know exactly who this is. Luciana Morales Mendoza. She's a women international master, and she's also chess.com staff, so that's kind of cool. But unfortunately for Luciana, she played against the Jesse opening. So those in the Discord know how much I love this opening. This is the Tartakower accepted, and she gave me exactly what I was looking for. We all know what's coming here. Bishop takes h3, and Stockfish is not even seeing this as a move. I guess it is. It's third. But really the only move to stay in the game is to take. But I thought that lost immediately. I take back, and I bring my knight up, and this is like almost made on the back rank. So I am happy with this position for sure. And then let's just kind of go through the rest of the moves pretty quickly. Not a whole lot to go over here, but I'm just playing normal chess. Man, I'm like -3 here, -2, and then I think I hang my bishop, so I'm losing. But we get into this position where I get a perpetual at some point. Yeah, so here's a perpetual. And we were looking after the game, Matt, why she didn't block with the knight. And I could
rookie
see...
one check.
Yeah, rookie one check, exactly. And then she has to reblock with the knight, and I get the knight.
Okay.
Yep. So...
Wow, that was a great game.
Yep, solid game. 2 mistakes, 1 blunder, and I finally got the draw against a title player. So I was hoping to get a win. I'll settle for a draw. And so that was the Sleep Deprived Parents Bullet Championship. Thank you for Nate Solon for putting that on. It was a lot of fun. I got 1.5 out of 19. Not great, but honestly, I think that was some of my best chess. Like, I really feel like I played my A game that event.
Yeah, it was really fun watching it. And I think too, the fact that you were streaming it live, you were trying to explain a little bit what you were doing, and I think that played a bit of a factor as well. If you wanted to get your best score possible, you probably wouldn't be talking at all while you were playing.
I probably wouldn't be streaming at all.
That's true too.
Yeah.
But this gives me an idea. We should do some sort of event with ChessGoals. Do a live event, promote it on Twitter, promote it on the email list, because we haven't done it in a while. Maybe we could think of some sort of fun name for it or some theme.
That would be fun. Book it. I'll be there. We'll set something up. You have to be on our emails, chess.com/newsletter, and we will let's do a tournament. Let's say it right now. We're doing a tournament at some point in the future. Get on our emails, chess.com/newsletter, and we will... What'd I say? Chess.com?
Chess.com/newsletter.
ChessGoals.com/newsletter. You think I'd be able to promote our own thing?
It's okay.
First time podcast host. Okay, so that was a tournament. We had a lot of fun. After that, we drank several... I'm not going to say it, but Liquid Death, the unsponsored sponsor, and it was delicious. Convicted Melon.
Dead to us.
They are dead to us, which is maybe a little fitting. Liquid Death, Liquid Dead to us. Yeah. And we watched some UFC. It was a fun night of fights. Let's talk about the SCC, Matt. What a round one it was. Crazy round one. So we had Magnus taking care of business, Naka taking care of business. A lot of very close matches, though. So let's bring up round one. Let me get that settled. So here's round one, and we will project the quarterfinals. So round one, not really much anything to say. Magnus versus Wonderful Time, Crush, 20.5 to 3.5. Next match, a very close one between Jan-Christoph Duda and Arjun how do you say it? Erigaisi?
Erigaisi. This match, 12 to 10. I predicted it correctly, 12 to 10 for chess.com.
Nice.
That was the exact prediction. And I think Arjun is probably the 4th best player in the whole field. And he's going to be facing Magnus already in the second round, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that is a very tough matchup for Magnus. Magnus is going to have to go through some serious competition to get to the finals. Whereas Naka maybe doesn't have so difficult of a path. So after that, so it was Wesley versus Denis Lazovic. This is one that we all had our eye on because Denis kind of came out of nowhere. His OTB, like his FIDE rating, is what, 2570? Like he's not even that high, that strong of a rating for a GM.
But he's really good in Title Tuesday, and he has very strong online ratings. And as we've seen in past events, the online ratings are huge. Even though the +1 increment does tend to favor the higher classical rated player, when you have a young player who's super good online, that's kind of the equalizer. And that's why this first round was so exciting, because we have Denis, who's kind of new to the scene in terms of big events. He's only been in some kind of big online events versus Wesley So, who's been at the top of the world for 10 years now. So I had this one predicted 11.5, 10.5 for Wesley. It was super close, and Wesley ended up winning 12-10. But the crazy thing is Denis was insanely accurate all throughout the match, which is Wesley's style. And Denis was right there toe-to-toe with him. And I think in another year, Dennis is the favorite over Wesley, like almost
That
guaranteed.
that's crazy. Yeah, what a match. And especially, yeah, like you said, he hasn't really played in a ton of big tournaments, so for him to keep the composure against Wesley, really difficult. I think that was one that's like a nightmare matchup for Wesley. Like you kind of don't know what you're getting. But I'm happy to see Wesley win. He's from Minnesota, home state. We got to get him on the podcast. Wesley, if you're watching, please join our Zoom meetings. We can do a podcast with you. Um, final match in that group was an absolute insane show. MVL versus Hans Niemann, and Hans comes out on top in what was it? Was it an overtime or was it the final game of the match?
Final game of the match. So Hans won, or I'm sorry, MVL won the 5+1 portion and looked like the stronger player. And then somehow Hans went on like a 5 game winning streak. I wasn't watching that part live. I heard about it later during the 3+1. And I was reading that MVL was totally on tilt. And then MVL actually played stronger in the 1+1, but it came down to the final game. They were tied, and Hans pulled out some sort of opening prep with the white pieces where he was able to blow open the king position of MVL and just crushed him in the final game. And I think this is crazy because if Hans wins the next matchup, which is going to be against Wesley So, and Magnus wins his match against Arjun Hiragaisi, we're set for a semifinals of Magnus against Hans. And I think that's going to be insane. The finals and semifinals are going to be live. Did you hear about this?
Oh no,
Or
I
I'm sorry,
didn't.
in
I
person,
so
live in person.
semifinals too.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it was only the finals were live. That's insane.
I'm pretty sure it's the last 2 rounds. So they'll have laptops, but they'll be sitting in the same room face to face.
Oh man, haven't we learned from that that maybe that's not such a good idea?
I mean, depends who's playing. Yeah, we'll see if Magnus turns into the next Vladimir Kramnik.
This is different though, because this is an official chess.com event. You know they're going to have their stuff together and it's going to be good games.
Yeah.
So, yes, I am so excited for that. Hans versus Magnus matchup. Please let it happen. Please let it happen, chess.com. Please rig the next matches so they both win. That would be great. Naka versus Jose Martinez. Closer than I thought it was going to be, actually. Jocelyn played well, but couldn't hang with Naka. 14-8 for Naka.
I
Jan
had,
versus Notre. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I had that one 14.5 to 7.5.
Oh, so you
So
were close.
14-8 was pretty close. Yeah. I think Jose is just another, he's kind of like Lazovic. He's super strong in online play. And I think if you look at just his FIDE classical rating, you kind of underestimate how good he is in this event.
Yep. And then we have Jan versus Noterbeck. And this was crazy because Noterbeck won the first 4 games of 5+1. So he was
Yes.
spotting, Jan was spotting him 4 points. And Jan comes all the way back and wins by 2, 13-11. So what even happened in that one? It went into overtime, right?
Yeah, Jan sort of just said afterwards, it went into the 4 game overtime match. I had Noterbeck as a 1 point favorite going into this, 11.5, 10.5. But Jan afterwards claimed that he just thought he was the stronger blitz player. But I don't know. I mean, you look at Noterbeck, and he's been a top classical player for a long time. He's super good at blitz. And you could argue that Jan's on the decline already. So again, in one more year, I don't know if Jan has a chance in this matchup. I think what we're looking at right now are the young players starting to surpass the old guard, which is
Yeah,
super exciting.
it does kind of seem that way. Yeah, like you said, very exciting. Let me recrop this a little bit so we get the final match on here. Okay, and then Ali Reza takes care of business against Grishuk. We kind of thought that was going to happen. And Fabiana beats Alexi Serrana pretty handily, 15-8. So which ones did you actually get wrong? Because you got a couple wrong this time. Last year we talked about how Matt guessed predicted every single match 100% correctly, but we have a couple upsets. So Hans beating MVL, and it was Jan beating Noterbeck, right?
Yeah, so Hans MVL, I thought MVL was a slight favorite, and Jan Erdebeck, I did not think Jan would win, but I had the Jan match as a 1 point favorite, and I had the MVL match as a 3 point favorite. So in my power rankings, Neiman I had in 5th place. So I think that was just a really bad, really unlucky matchup for MVL. I mean, really
Yeah.
for both of them to have to face each other. I had MVL as the 3 seed in power rankings and Neiman as the 5th seed playing in
So
round one.
Have you updated the rankings based on the last round yet?
Hmm.
Okay, so where do you have Hans in the power rankings? Obviously, Magnus is first, Naka is second, but where's Hans? He's got to be third at this point, right?
He is, let me look. He's very close to Arjun. Um, let's see. I have Neiman's like SCC rating is 2794. Arjun is 2803. Yeah, so Hans is fourth um, out of the remaining players.
Okay, so, and where's Wesley in that?
Let's see.
I'm
Wesley
guessing,
is lower. He's 2763. He's essentially tied with Jan, and they're both ahead of Caruana and behind Perugia.
okay, so like sixth. So Hans has got to be a favorite for you in the Wesley. So let's go through and predict these. Magnus obviously big favorite over Aragaisi, sorry. And what do you think he's going to win by handful of points there?
I got him winning by 6 points, about 14 to 8.
Okay, so pretty clean or pretty clear favorite for Magnus versus Arjun. I'm curious what Wesley versus Hans is. I bet Hans is going to be like a 1.5 favorite.
Yep, very close. I have him winning 12-10 with about a 60% chance to win the match.
Okay, man, please let it happen. And what are the odds of Magnus winning?
78% with that 6 point favorite
Okay,
line.
so let
I
me
mean,
do
so
some
it's
math.
not super surprising if Magnus does lose the match. Like maybe 1 out of 5 times if they keep playing that match, he loses. And that's partially because they're still with the shorter number of games. They still have the shorter time controls for the second round.
Okay. Uh, so we have like a pretty good chance that they're gonna play each other. So like, what is 40% of 22%? That's 8.8. I don't know how to do this. You're the statistician. What are the odds that they play each other?
Uh, so what you want to do is
I guess
multiply the odds, or
so
wait,
78 times zero point 0.6.
the odds that they
So
don't face each other, one minus that,
okay, so the odds that they do face each other is 47%,
something like
rough,
that. Yeah,
roughly.
that sounds about right.
I'm doing public math here. I just came to podcast. I did not come to math. So, okay. Naka versus Jan. Naka's got to be a decent favorite here.
I have him also 14 to 8, so very similar because both Carlson and Arjun are a little bit higher in the seeds in my power rankings than Naka and Jan, but I have a 79% chance for Naka to win 14-8.
Okay, cool. And then Faruja Fabi. This could be a close one. I want Fabi to win. I think Alireza will win.
Bobby has gotten much stronger in Blitz online. He definitely proved it round one. And some people were saying Serrano was the favorite. Like even some super GMs I was hearing were saying, yeah, we think Alexi will win. 15 to 8 though, Bobby proved like, hey, I can play Blitz online too. So I have Ali Reza as the favorite, but it's only a 12 to 10, also a 60-40 match. So very similar to Hans against Wesley.
Okay, so yeah, both brackets like kind of mirrors of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the chat, we have a question. What were the time limits of the games? So there's three sections. First section is 5+1, and how many minutes is that? 60 minutes.
So normally it's 90, 60, 30, and then they shortened it to, oh, I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm trying to find it.
Is it
But
maybe
they shortened
15?
each one,
Is it 15 minutes shorter? Maybe
something
not.
like that.
Just a slightly shorter time control. But then
Yeah.
the last two rounds, the semis and the finals, that'll be back to 90, 60, 30.
Yep, that's right.
All right, so that is SCC predictions going forward. We'll project this round. We have a little bit of a gap, so let me see if I can get the schedule up here. Okay, so not much of a gap, actually. We have a bunch this week. So 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th, that is the round. So this week coming up, or next week, I should say, we will have that bracket finalized, and then we wait till September to get the semifinals. Ooh, they're having a consolation third place match. Interesting. I didn't know that. And
Yeah,
then
this
the
will be fun because we'll get to do it after the Hans match. So if Hans
yes.
wins, we're going to be going nuts. I mean, are you cheering for Hans to win?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if Hans
And
wins, we'll know by Wednesday night.
and so it does look like the semifinals and the titles are probably all going to be live. I know you mentioned that, but it's September 6th for the semifinals, 7th for the consolation, and then 8th for the title match. So very cool. Anything else you want to go over for the pod? We have an announcement. Should we announce our announcement?
I was going to say one other thing. I do see on their website, you can get your tickets for the live finals in Paris, September 6th through 8th. So that'd be kind of fun. Do you want to go out, fly out on the Chess Goals charter jet?
Are the Olympics going to be over by then? Because otherwise we wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It looks like, yes, September 6th, 7th, and 8th are all going to be in Paris. So, all live. Nice. That is exciting.
Very cool. Okay, sorry. Yeah,
Um,
let's go into the announcement. What's the announcement?
okay, we have a pretty small announcement, but an announcement nonetheless. And if you made it this far, we want to thank you by saying next podcast we are going to go over some positions on our new trainer. So as you know, we've been working on the trainer for a while. We plugged the trainer early on in the podcast, but we decided to make the trainer 100% free for everybody for life, probably. That is train.chessgoals.com. And what I am very excited about is our Guess the Eval. And we are going to go over some Guess the Eval positions. We basically will feed you dry-ish positions, and you get to determine the overall evaluation of the position. We grade you on space, material, activity, and one other one, pawn structure and king safety.
King safety, yeah.
And so you add all that up to get an eval and do your best. We have, I think, 59 positions right now because one of them I had to kill. And so I invite all of you to try it out. If you're curious in doing some tactics, we also have probably like over a thousand, probably like 2,000 free tactic problems that you can try. And we give you actually multiple retorts to your moves. So it's not just like the top engine move where they just give you the piece. We try to hang on like a human would and try to figure out kind of how do you actually capitalize on this advantage. A lot of these problems will have 3-4 lines that you need to play through, different responses, different checkmates you need to find. Because when you're playing real, actual chess, you need to see all the different candidate moves for your opponent, and that's what we are. That's what we are quizzing you on. That's what we built. So check out train.chessgoals.com to check out our tactics and eval trainer. And so next week we're going to be going over some of these positions, and we are also going to be giving away a course of your choice. So if you want to win the course, you need to be on our emails. We will send out an email and figure out a better way to do it than last time, rather than me reading the winner's email on air. And
Hey,
so,
we haven't doxed anyone in a couple of weeks, though.
yeah, that's
We're
true.
due.
We probably should, yes. So that is, again, chessgoals.com/newsletter. We have given you several reasons to get on our newsletter, and I think you should be on our newsletter, get our emails. We give a lot of stuff away in our emails. Okay, one last question. What's coming up course-wise? Great question, actually. We have another mini announcement. We have a course that is kind of ready that we're going to be releasing in the next week or two. And what course is that, Matt?
It's our Queen's Gambit Decline course from the black side. We have a FIDE master. His name is Jack. He's actually James's chess coach, James, who has authored some of the other courses. That course is ready to go. It's on my plate now just to get it all into the course player, get everything set up, make sure there are no additional loose ends to tie up. But the videos are ready and the PGN is ready to go. And then James has finished his London Part 2 course. So that's an add-on to our original London course. And also it has some model games and it has some alternate ideas that you can use. So if you're a London player and you use our London course, you're going to love the London Part 2. So those are both essentially at the same point. But we're going to probably wait about a month after the Queen's Gambit Decline course to bring out the London course. Then I have the Modern Defense course I've been working on, and Jesse's helping with the videos. That's about half done. And we have a One Night of Three course that Justin's working on. That's also about half done. And then we do have a couple other things coming down the pipeline later, an intermediate move-by-move course. maybe I should call it an advanced beginner move by move course. It's sort of part 2 to our beginner move by move. And then we also have an isolated queen pawn course that I don't think I've even mentioned, Jesse.
You haven't? I
That
didn't know
Brock
about
is
that.
working on. Yep, and that there's no timeline on that either, but that'll be coming down the line as well.
That is awesome. And Matt, how would you be alerted of these courses coming out?
I would not go to the chess.com website, but chessgoals.com/newsletter. You can sign up for a newsletter right there. You get all the up-to-date information.
So 3 reasons to join our emails. Do it now, please. And if you want to say thank you for this podcast, a way to give us a handshake, a pat on the back, you can give us a like, subscribe, give us a rating on Spotify or iTunes. Thank you all for joining us this week. It was a very fun podcast. Thank you, Matt, for joining. We will see you next week. Bye, everyone.